Before we get into today's edition of Just the Truth, let me tell you about the latest special from Mike Lindell at MyPillow. The standard MyPillow, normally $49.98 for a limited time only, just $14.88 with promo code Joey. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener specials, and see all the specials. There's a limited quantity of just 10 at this special price. That's $14.88 with promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Fani Willis was ordered to give a watchdog group all communications with special counsel Jack Smith and to pay attorney's fees of Judicial Watch, who has been requesting the release of the documents. We'll dive into this today. In another major court win for Donald Trump, an appeals court ruled the U.S. can deport illegal immigrants despite local objections, and that those local governments cannot try to obstruct the operations. In this case, local officials cannot continue to forbid the use of a local airport. Breaking news last night out of Florida, Hillsborough County Sheriff Chad Chronister has withdrawn from consideration as President-elect Donald Trump's nominee to lead the Drug Enforcement Administration. We have the details for you in today's show. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has endorsed President-elect Donald Trump's strong warning to Hamas, stating that Trump is putting the focus in the right place.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Here's the latest development in Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis's controversial prosecution of Donald Trump and other related cases in the 2020 election. This week, a Georgia judge ordered Ms. Willis to hand over communications with special counsel Jack Smith and the House January 6 committee, ruling that her office violated Georgia's Open Records Act. This comes amid ongoing scrutiny of her coordination with federal and congressional investigations and her handling of these high-profile cases. Now, here's what's happening. The nonprofit Judicial Watch filed a lawsuit against Willis back in March, seeking records of her communications with Jack Smith and the House January 6 committee. Initially, Willis's office claimed that there were no records, but this week, Fulton County Superior Court Judge Robert McBurney ruled otherwise. The judge determined that Willis failed to comply with the Open Records Act and violated the law by not responding properly to Judicial Watch's lawsuit. Basically, they called her out because she feels like that the laws do not apply to her. In his decision, Judge McBurney granted a default judgment against Willis, stating, quote, "Plaintiff is thus entitled to judgment by default, as if every item and paragraph of the complaint were supported by proper and sufficient evidence." McBurney also ordered Willis to produce the requested documents within 5 business days to pay Judicial Watch's attorney's fees. Basically, you're going to have to pay what you cost them by not turning over the documents when they requested them. Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton didn't hold back in his response, calling Willis's actions unprecedented. In a statement, he said, "Fani Willis is something else. We've been doing this work for 30 years, and this is the first time in our experience a government official has been found in default for not showing up in court to answer an open records lawsuit." Fitton and Judicial Watch have expressed strong interest in uncovering any evidence of coordination between Willis, the Biden administration, and the House January 6 committee, what they've called a compromised get Trump prosecution. She doesn't want to turn the information over because she knows it's going to prove what they've been claiming all along. This development adds just another layer to this already controversial case against Donald Trump. And there are 18 others accused of trying to overturn the 2020 election in Georgia as well that she has charged. It could turn the whole thing upside down, depending on what's in those records. I suspect that what we're going to learn is that she did work hand in hand with Jack Smith and with the House January 6th committee. I think you're going to see a lot of cooperation between all of those entities. Trump's charges, which were filed by Willis under Georgia's RICO Act, include criminal solicitation, conspiracy, and making false statements. While the case is currently on pause because of appeals, it's been a lightning rod for accusations of political bias and prosecutorial overreach. And we know she's guilty of that. We know that Fani Willis, all she wanted was to become a household name, to be the headline. And she got that. She may be in trouble herself based on what we've learned about some of her dealings and her hiring her boyfriend as part of her, as one of her prosecutors on her staff, paying him, and he turns around and takes her on trips. The House Judiciary Committee has been investigating whether Willis coordinated with these other entities. U.S. lawmakers have noted that Willis asked the January 6th committee to share evidence with her office. If confirmed that such coordination did in fact happen, it could raise significant questions about the independence of her investigation. And this isn't just a story about Trump or Fani Willis. It's about government transparency and accountability. It's about holding people like Fani Willis in check. Just because you're a prosecutor and you have the law on your side doesn't mean you can abuse that. The Open Records Act exists to ensure that public officials are held accountable in Georgia. Other states have similar laws. We have them in South Carolina. Just about every state has some type of Open Records Act. Judge McBurney's ruling underscores this importance, underscores that you have to abide by the law, doesn't matter what position you're in. For critics, the ruling validates concerns about Willis's handling of the case. It raises questions about whether her office has been fully transparent, which I suggest it has not. And of course, whether or not external influences like Jack Smith and like the January 6th committee made up of primarily Democrats, I'm sure that they probably had some type of influence over her as well. Now, on the other hand, Willis's defenders argue that the focus on her office's records distracts from the core issue. They believe the core issue is the legal merits of the case against Trump and his co-defendants. So here's what we're going to be watching. Willis has 5 business days to hand over the requested documents. Do you think she's going to do it? You think she will actually abide by this order, or do you think she'll end up being found in contempt? The records could provide key insights into whether or not her office did coordinate with these federal agencies. A hearing is set to determine the attorney's fees and the cost owed to Judicial Watch. That's scheduled for December the 20th. And good for the judge for allowing this, because quite often a case like this, the plaintiff will win, but it will cost them a lot of money to do so. In this case, Judicial Watch, which is a nonprofit watchdog type group, they're going to get their money back, as they should. If more judges would hold people accountable and make the losing party pay legal fees, we would have less lawsuits. Now, the ruling doesn't directly affect the charges against Donald Trump, but it could influence public perception of the prosecution, and it could provide evidence for his legal team as they argue for the case to be dismissed or at least further delayed. Trump's appeals regarding Willis's ability to prosecute the case are still pending. The outcome of these appeals could significantly impact where this case heads. I got a feeling the whole thing's going to be thrown out. And you know what? She should be made to pay Donald Trump and the other, 18 co-defendants. She should have to pay all of their defense. That'll never happen. But she should, because she's been on a witch hunt at their expense. And she's had the public money to support her investigation. Hasn't cost her a dime. In fact, she's been paid to do it. This story highlights the tension between the pursuit of justice and the need for transparency. Whether you view Fani Willis as a tenacious prosecutor who just wants to hold powerful figures accountable, which some people in Georgia, I guess they think that, or if you see her as an overreaching official driven by political motivations, which I believe that's the case, the thing that's clear is that the public deserves to know the truth. It's just that simple. Transparency. We should be able to see those records, and we shouldn't have to file a lawsuit to see them. Judge McBurney's ruling is a reminder that even those tasked with enforcing the law are not above it, Ms. Fani Willis. You have to abide by the same law that I do. You have to abide by the same law that Donald Trump does. As the documents are released, more details emerge. The implications could likely extend beyond this case. I just hope that Fani Willis learns a lesson here, that they teach her that just because you are the prosecutor, you're the district attorney, doesn't mean you can run roughshod over anybody you want to, even a former president whom you disagree with politically, whom you totally despise. You can't use your office on a witch hunt. Your comments are welcome. Emails, joey@joeyhudson.com. This year, I really thought I was going to have to boycott the holidays. I was going to lock myself away and not come out until 2025. But after finding PhD weight loss, you can bet I'll be at every holiday party I'm invited to. That's because PhD weight loss helped me take control with great confidence, support, and my new healthy body. The best part? PhD weight loss did it all without harmful drugs that keep you dependent on them to maintain your weight loss. It's a natural, medication-free approach to weight loss crafted to naturally diminish food-related thoughts, hunger, and cravings, making your weight loss journey more sustainable and enjoyable. Take it from me, I lost 33 pounds. The PhD weight loss program teaches you not just what to eat and when, but also how to think differently about food and finally let go of those cravings and get rid of the hunger naturally. Don't lock yourself away this holiday season. Call PhD Weight Loss today at 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900, or go to myphdweightloss.com. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Breaking news out of Florida last night. Hillsborough County Sheriff Chad Chronister has withdrawn from consideration as President-elect Donald Trump's nominee to lead the Drug Enforcement Administration. Chronister announced his decision on X, calling the nomination, quote, the honor of a lifetime, but explaining that he chose to step aside to focus on unfinished work in Hillsborough County, who has elected him to serve as their sheriff. He said, there's more work to be done for the citizens of Hillsborough County and a lot of initiatives I'm committed to fulfilling. The sheriff's nomination sparked backlash from several conservative figures over his controversial arrest of a pastor during COVID. In 2020, Chronister ordered the arrest of Reverend Rodney Howard Brown for holding in-person church services in violation of local health orders. The charges were later dropped, but the incident has remained a sore spot for many critics of the sheriffs. Representative Thomas Massey from Kentucky called Chronister's withdrawal a huge win for liberty, while conservative commentator Liz Wheeler labeled him a COVID tyrant. Critics argued that Sheriff Chronister's actions during the pandemic made him unfit to lead the DEA and to serve in a Trump administration. Not everyone agrees, of course. Senator Mark Wayne Mullen from Oklahoma defended Chronister, saying, we all make mistakes throughout life. What disqualifies somebody? Meanwhile, the Reverend Howard Brown himself offered surprising support for Chronister, calling him a friend who acted with good intentions and has grown from the experience. For now, the position of DEA administration remains open. President-elect Trump will have to find another candidate to fulfill this very critical role. We'll keep you updated. I'm sure we'll hear a new candidate pretty soon. There's a heated debate unfolding in Chicago, a city struggling with a $1 billion budget shortfall, sharp criticism of its spending on migrants, and growing frustration from its many residents. Mayor Brandon Johnson, he's under fire as Chicago's spending on the New Arrivals Mission. It's a program to shelter and offer support to illegals. It's exceeded $574 million since its inception in August of 2022. Residents are speaking out, and they're going to be heard. some have labeled Johnson as the worst mayor in America. Let's understand the numbers here. The New Arrivals Mission, that's the name of the program, was created to provide emergency shelter, food, and medical care to migrants who have been arriving in Chicago in very large numbers, many of them bused there from Texas under Governor Greg Abbott's relocation program. Since last year, nearly 39,000 migrants have arrived in the city of Chicago. The city's efforts to address what they call a humanitarian crisis has cost a staggering $574.5 million so far. Now, the problem, Chicago is facing a $1 billion budget deficit, and Mayor Johnson has proposed property taxes increases of approximately $60 million to help close that gap. It's created outrage, as you can imagine. During a fiery city council meeting, residents didn't hold back. One woman bluntly criticized the city's spending priorities, saying, let's start with cutting off illegals getting free everything. Here's the exchange.
Okay, so I got a great way how we can what we can do with this budget. First, let's start with cutting off illegals getting free everything. Free housing, free schooling, free food. Yeah, let's start with that. That'll save us a lot of money. What, $600 million? Let's start there. Then let's start with your salary. You are going down in history as the worst mayor in America. Let's start with cutting yours. You making too much money. Let's start there. And now let's start with the police detail you had, the 200 police detail you had. Let's start with that. Because you Democrats, and you remember you told us to defund the police. Remember, you ran on that. Remember, you was the defund the police. Let's start with that. Let's defund the police detail that you have. And let's put the police back in our neighborhood, because we're not for defunding the police. We need the police. So let's start with all the Democrats, because y'all policy, what y'all push in our neighborhood, defund the police. So all y'all that got police details and got police presence around y'all house, let's start with cutting that. That'll save a lot of the money. So won't you just practice what you preach? Remove all the details. We saw you coming in today. You had all the police presence. So let's take some of that away. And then let's start with and I'm asking you all, and I'm telling you all, aldermen, whatever property tax hike he's proposing, or whatever taxes he's proposing on the Chicago citizens, I'm letting y'all know for real. And now, if you all vote on anything to raise all taxes or anything, because we are already suffering, homeowners, you all will not be in those seats.
And she's just one of many who showed up for that city council meeting. You can't blame them, can you? To sit back, and this is what I've been saying all along, how the people in these cities like Chicago, like New York, like Boston, like Denver this week, where the mayor has said he's willing to go to jail to defend these illegals. The residents are going to push back, and these local mayors, these local city administrators, they better wake up. They should learn from November the 5th that the people of America are fed up with this type of thing. They're tired of seeing their tax dollars spent to take care of these illegals at their expense. Another resident, an immigrant who came to the U.S. legally, expressed her embarrassment. She said these people came with a wide door open and they feel entitled to many things that nobody has. There are U.S. citizens suffering from poverty, and these people are just enjoying the benefits, becoming delinquents, and they have no consequences. And she's right. Tensions boiled over as residents accused Mayor Johnson of ignoring their concerns. One attendee said, the people of Chicago, we're done with you. He better be glad his name's not on the ballot anytime soon. He better hope that these people will forget. I don't know that they will. They're pretty riled up about the whole thing, as they should be. In response to Mayor Johnson's office, they've defended the New Arrivals Mission as a necessary response to a humanitarian crisis. The city has provided temporary emergency shelter, urgent medical care, education, and resettlement support for migrants. Johnson's team has also pointed out that Chicago has received the third highest number of asylum seekers among major U.S. cities, following New York City and Denver. Well, you've received those because you basically invited them. You've opened your doors, and now they're there. You got to learn to deal with them. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. Before we leave the topic of immigration, and look, that's a topic we talk about just about every day, because it's something that affects every single one of us. And it was top of mind on the recent elections. That's one of the reasons that Donald Trump won the entire nation. That's why he turned the map of the United States red and hit record numbers, because people are just tired of seeing our resources, our communities, our emergency rooms, our schools overburdened because of people who just should not be here. And we have to be kind. I understand that. But we're not doing them a favor by broadcasting our open borders like the Biden-Harris administration has done these past almost 4 years. And then they get here and we can't take care of them. And it hurts our own people. I mean, like the situation in Chicago. There are a lot of poor people in Chicago who are out in the cold now, who are U.S. citizens, and we can't take care of them. We can't house our own. So how are we expected to feed and house the millions from other countries? We can't. The incoming Trump administration received another win yesterday, a critical legal win from the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, ruling that allows U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, to resume deportation flights from Boeing Field in Seattle, Washington. This ruling shows a major shift in the immigration landscape as President-elect Donald Trump prepares to take office. It's a case with significant implications for local federal relations and for operation efficiencies for ICE and the broader debate over immigration policy throughout our country. So here's the story. In 2019, King County Executive Dow Constantine issued an order effectively banning ICE from using Boeing Field, which is a public airport in Seattle, for charter deportation flights. This forced ICE to relocate their operations to a nearby city in Yakima, Washington, which is significantly farther from their Northwest Detention Center, which led to increased operational costs and security concerns because they had to bus these people even further. The U.S. government sued King County in 2020, arguing that the order violated the terms of a World War II-era contract that guaranteed federal use of the airport. The government also claimed that the move discriminated against ICE, impeding federal operations. And I would bet that airport, like all airports, receives a lot of federal dollars as well to operate. And they denying ICE the use of the airport to fly illegals back home? Well, it's not going to happen any further because last Friday, The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals sided with ICE, ruling that King County's actions were discriminatory and violated the contract. Judge Daniel Bress wrote in the decision, "This is not a situation in which King County officials are being conscripted into carrying out federal immigration laws. Instead, the United States is asking King County, in its capacity as the owner of a public airport facility, to lift a discriminatory prohibition." The ruling not only allows ICE to resume deportation flights, but also mandates increased transparency, including public video feeds of deportation flights and a log of such flights posted on the county's website. This legal victory comes at a very important moment, as President-elect Trump has promised to ramp up deportations. He's described it as the largest mass deportation in our country's history. And his choice of former ICE Director Tom Holman as the so-called border czar signals a no-nonsense approach. They're not going to take any prisoners here. Actually, they are going to take prisoners. They're going to fly them back home. They're going to deport them. Holman has been very blunt, recently saying, if you don't want to work with us, then get the hell out of the way. We're going to do it. And that's the can-do type of attitude that we need in this position. That's what we have to do. We have to just make it clear to these idiots at these various local government agencies that we're going to do what's best for the country, whether you like it or not. The ruling clearly is a major logistical hurdle for ICE's deportation operations, and it reinforces the federal government's authority over local jurisdictions attempting to limit immigration enforcement. And we've heard so many of those. Trump's return to the White House has reignited this fierce opposition, primarily from blue states and cities. Leaders in Illinois, leaders in Arizona, in Massachusetts have vowed not to assist federal deportation efforts. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker just recently declaring, if you come for my people, you come through me. Well, Governor, I got a feeling Tom Holman's going to walk right through you, buddy, because he's going to be coming to Chicago and other cities in your fine state. Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs called Trump's deportation plans misguided, adding, Arizona will not take part in those. Well, yes, ma'am, you will. Whether you like it or not, Tom Holman and his ICE agents are going to be in Arizona as well. Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey stated unequivocally, Massachusetts State Police will absolutely not help the Trump administration's planned deportations. Well, we may not need your help, but you're not going to get in the way. Tom Holman is going to free up all those ICE agents that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris sent back to their desk, wasting time every day. He's going to put them back out on the street doing what they're supposed to be doing. Just this week, we've talked about Denver Mayor Mike Johnston that has gone as far as saying that he's prepared to go to jail in opposition to Trump's immigration policies. Tom Holman says he'll be happy to oblige him and he'll put him in jail. He'll be happy to put him there. You think the mayor of Denver really thinks that he might go to jail? Do you think he really meant that, or do you think he was just blustering, thinking, well, they'll never put me in jail? They'll never do that to a mayor of a major city like this. This legal win in Seattle highlights the growing tension, the fights that we're going to see in the coming months, and quickly, because Tom Holman's going to start acting quickly. If they're truly going to start the largest mass deportation we've ever seen, they got to get started, and I think they will. I think we're going to see our southern border, particularly our northern border as well, slam shut pretty quickly, as in day one, if not before. For ICE, the ability to use Boeing Field in Washington, in Seattle, restores a very critical logistical advantage. It reduces cost. It reduces security risk, again, associated with having to transport the detainees long distances to another airport. But I suspect we're going to see some defiance. We're going to see opposition from local and state governments in these blue states and these blue cities. They're going to try to complicate the enforcement efforts. And we're probably going to see more legal battles, a lot of wasted money in courtrooms with lawyers fighting over what we all know to be true. We have laws on the books that will support these ICE agents doing their jobs. But you're going to have some of these blue state governors and mayors who are going to spend their taxpayers' dollars to try to prohibit our federal government from doing its job. So here's what to watch in the coming weeks, and particularly January 20th and beyond. We're going to see how the Trump's incoming Trump 2.0, how they balance its aggressive deportation agenda with resistance from these states and cities. We're going to see county, like King County and other jurisdictions, we're going to see if they find new ways to try to obstruct the federal immigration enforcement. We're going to see courts like the Ninth Circuit require public video feeds and flight logs. We're going to see all this information opened up to greater public scrutiny, potentially fueling further protest and legal challenges, though. And we're going to see governors like Pritzker and Hobbs vowing not to cooperate and doing everything they can to obstruct the Trump administration and test the limits of federal authority over local authority, over state authority. But this ruling from this Ninth Circuit is a significant win for federal immigration enforcement and the Trump administration's agenda. It lays bare the deep divisions in how America handles immigration and how Tom Homan and Homeland Security, how they implement this mass deportation. You could look at this as a reaffirmation of federal authority and operational efficiency. For those who oppose it, they're going to look at it as a step backwards in the fight for local autonomy and immigration rights. And, I find myself on an odd side of this argument because typically I think the least federal interdiction, the best, because I'm a local person. I think that local government serves its people's best. And when we can keep things on the state level, on the local level, it's always better than the feds meddling. But in this immigration issue, I don't think that's the case. I think the local governments need to get out of the way and let Tom Homan and his ICE agents do their job. Do the job that the people said on November the 5th they want to see done. Whether you're replacing a broken appliance or maybe you're just upgrading, you're totally remodeling the kitchen, when it's time to get those new appliances, when you're ready for them, you don't want to have to wait weeks or even months to get started using them, right? Well, that's not the case when you shop with my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse. With over 11,000 square feet and 1,500 appliances at any given time, you can buy today and use today quite often. I'm talking about shopping with my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse in Pickens. It's worth the short drive over to Pickens. Jeff, Johnny, Kyle, the whole team over there, they'll take good care of you. They have an award-winning service department, expert installation, extended warranties, and at Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they treat you like family. You're more than just a credit card swipe to all the team over there. Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they're proud to offer Speed Queen, the only washer and dryers with manufacturer's warranties that cover parts and labor. You owe it to yourself if you're looking for a new appliance to head over to Pickens to Discounted Appliance Warehouse online at dawpickens.com, dawpickens.com. Let me take a few minutes to share some of your text messages. I love your text messages, your emails, joey@joeyhudson.com. Texter says, unless major changes are made, the Biden family is having their heaven only on earth. Sad to think this family is so evil. And yes, Jill is likely the leader of the pack. Texter, I seen the DOJ is maybe having issues with the pardon of Hunter Biden. Some saying the charges can't be overturned. Any validity to this, or is it just speculation? I would love to see justice being served on the Biden crime family. Yeah, there's been some speculation, and there was a scathing 5-page ruling from federal judge Mark Scarcey on the pardon of Hunter Biden, and particularly he's out of the California district, and he particularly is calling into question the pardon and some of the language that Joe Biden used in relationship to the California tax evasion case, saying that that Joe Biden misrepresented some of the things that he put into the pardon, and how he represented what was being done to Hunter as being purely political. We'll get into that in just a minute. But as far as is there a way that the pardon can be undone? No. The pardon's done. That's it. Hunter Biden is going to walk free regardless of what some of these courts, what their response is. Texter Joey, Hamas may not care for life. That's only as long as it's not their life. Al in Union. Thank you, Al. I think you're responding to, I said yesterday that Hamas, they don't care for life. They don't respect life. To be killed in a war like this they become martyrs. Texter, we should go now and get any American hostages. Stop doing Israel's bidding and get out of the Middle East. This in response to, of course, President Trump issuing an ultimatum to Hamas saying, "Hey, we want our hostages before January 20th, or you're going to pay for it." Texter says they're going to release the hostages just like they did right before Reagan took over. And, I suspect that that's what Donald Trump hopes will happen. Iran knew that with Ronald Reagan, he was going to be a strong president. They had just literally jerked Jimmy Carter around. Ronald Reagan let it be known there's going to be a new sheriff in town, and they did. They released the hostages. I suspect that Donald Trump is trying to duplicate that. He's letting them know he's not going to back down. And it could end up, we could end up in that war because of it. It just depends on how Hamas responds to it. Brian from Taylor's writes, Joey, how the blank does she get only 25 years? She should have gotten at least 30 to 35. I guess you're responding to the case, the young lady who was driving drunk down at Folly Beach and killed the young bride on her wedding night. And she pled guilty this week and was sentenced to 25 years. You're right. I mean, 25 years is a short period of time, knowing that this young lady who was in her 20s, the rest of her life, and her husband of just a few hours is being deprived of that life for the rest of his life. Texter says, I think holding the rental company responsible is a stretch. Unless she was drunk when they rented the car to her, I'm not sure how they're responsible. This is just an example of how broken our liability laws are. Because in a wrongful death case like this, the mother of the bride and the groom, the husband, sued this young lady. And, of course, they sued the rental. She was in a rental car when the accident happened. They sued the rental car company. They sued the bars that she had been served drinks in. And that's how our system works. And that's why we have seen restaurants and bars close this past year in South Carolina because they can't get liability insurance or they can't afford it because it's gone through the roof because of these types of cases. Our tort reform needs to simply hold the people directly responsible. No, the rental car company played no role in this whatsoever. They rented that car to her just like they would rent it to you and me. They can't have any control over the fact that she was driving it and went to a bar, had too much to drink, and killed someone. Just like the bar can't help it either. Now, they're arguing, well, they shouldn't have served her alcohol. They should have known she was drunk. Some people, you can't tell her that they're drunk. Some people can handle their alcohol, and you'd never know they're drunk. But their reflexes are affected. And in this case, she just plowed over this couple who were riding along in a golf cart. after their wedding. Texter, morning, Joey. Wonder if the hostages are even alive. I hope so. I pray they are, and I think they are. I mean, the Hamas has been sending videos and different things along the way as a way to try to encourage some type of agreement, ceasefire agreement, and proof of life has been part of that quite often. Texter, God knows what Biden will do in the next 50 days. Lord help us. Well, it is kind of scary to think about what this man may do in these final weeks of his presidency. And he's certainly going to try to do anything he can to make it hard on Donald Trump to start doing the things that the American people elected him to do. If there's something that Biden can do, if there's a trap he can lay, he will try to do it because he hates Donald Trump that badly. Texter says, good morning. I think if Biden pardons Trump, then he might have 80 million people on his side and forget about Hunter. Wow. Yeah. Look, you feel like you're living in a twilight zone with some of these things that Joe Biden's doing these days and some of the conversations that are being had among Democrats. Look, they're fighting among themselves right now, so we have them right where we want them, right? So back to this 5-page ruling. We have a few minutes here left to talk about, and I know we've talked about the pardon, Hunter Biden's pardon all week, but this ruling by federal judge Mark Scarcy is quite interesting because it highlights inconsistencies between the president's public statements and the legal facts, according to the judge. Judge Scarcy didn't hold back. He accused the White House of justifying the pardon with false and offensive reasoning, he wrote. So what does the ruling mean for Hunter Biden, the courts, and the political narrative surrounding this controversial pardon? The key points of Judge Scarcy's ruling, the California federal judge, he's the one overseeing Hunter Biden's tax case. He pulled no punches. He highlighted several issues with the White House justification of the pardon, stating that President Biden's public explanation was in direct conflict with the actual court order. He said the president asserts that Mr. Biden was treated differently from others who were late paying their taxes because of serious addictions. But he is not. Mr. Biden admitted that he engaged in tax evasion after this period of addiction. The judge also dismissed the claim that Hunter was singled out because of his family ties, pointing out that the two federal judges had explicitly rejected those arguments, as did the investigation led by Attorney General Merrick Garland and Special Prosecutor David Weiss. Scarcy called out the absurdity of Hunter's legal team filing a motion to dismiss the indictment by simply attaching the press release. Now, I wasn't aware of this, but evidently, rather than writing the order and giving an actual copy of the pardon, they sent a letter requesting the judge to dismiss and just attached a press release, a copy of a press article about the pardon. That's typical of the Biden operation, isn't it? That's it for today's show. Tara's up next, followed by the Mike Gallagher Show, Bill Frady's Show, and Charlie James in the afternoon. I'm back again tomorrow at 5 a.m. for your first cup of coffee on Sunrise, Carolina. Remember, folks, God's got this. He's still in control. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.